Hi everyone, very good morning and thank you everyone for joining us. Today we have an excellent pool of empowered women on the occasion of Women's Day to share their insights about career for women in law. And without taking further time, my colleague Akhila will quickly introduce you to the panel and then we'll start with a good number of questions we've received from you all one by one to get the insights from our experts on the queries. Over to you, Akhila.
Very good morning, everyone. I'm Akhila from YLCC. We have with us an esteemed panel of lawyers today on the occasion of Women's Day. So we have with us Aishwarya Bhati ma'am. Ma'am needs no introduction. Ma'am is the Additional Solicitor General of India and Senior Advocate at Supreme Court of India. Then we have with us two advocates on record, Pallavi Pratap ma'am and Sanchita Ain ma'am. Then again, they both need no introduction. They keep on sharing their insights on developments happening around the world and in India. Then after that, we have with us Divya Malcolm ma'am. Ma'am had taken a 1-hour session with us on career and real estate laws, and ma'am runs her own law firm, and ma'am is ex-partner at Kocher and Company. Then we have with us Tanupriya Pal ma'am. Ma'am has experience in media and entertainment laws, and currently she is working as an area manager at Axis Bank. Then we have two very renowned faces. One in the field of edtech, legal edtech. One is our founder Samanika Rawat, and then we are hoping that Diksha Sharma, the founder of Simuligum, will also join us. So I think the energy is already beaming here, and I cannot wait to.
Akita, I think you muted yourself by mistake and you forgot to introduce the very special guest who's joined early morning from abroad, Nandana. So I'll quickly introduce her.
Nandana is there. I thought she's not there. That is why.
Yes,
I'm very sorry. Okay, so we have with us Nandana. She is an NUJS alumna, and she has done her LLM from Cambridge University, and she's currently working as a research fellow at King's College London. And thereafter, after her LLM, she has worked at UN and International Criminal Tribunal. Sorry.
So excellent. Thank you so much, Akhila. I am sure everybody is already very excited. So without taking any further time, let's start with a common question. How difficult it is for women in general to have their own personal brand in the field of litigation? Aishwarya ma'am, if you could start.
I don't think you should be looking at making a brand. You know, when you choose to be a litigation lawyer, then you sort of commit yourself to being a student of law for life, trying to touch people, help them have access to justice, and just the best kind of making a space for yourself is try to make space for others. Try to have their voices heard. And your place will automatically be made by the journey that you undertake. So don't focus on space. Start small, dream big, wear men's shoes so that your feet are comfortable all day. Dream big and work hard to achieve your dreams. It doesn't take rocket science to succeed here. This is a profession that is, it takes a long while to get a little settled. But that is true for men and women both. You know, for women, it becomes harder because the family push, the societal push for us, the battles that we have to fight elsewhere are also, weighing on us. After all, it's us individuals. And this is not a structured job that you will get your, sick leave or maternity leave or your childcare leave or any kind of leave. I mean, it's your brief. If you're there, you are arguing your brief. Great. If you're not there, somebody else will get that brief. So yes, that is why this is a little difficult for men and women both. Gets more difficult for young girls because the societal push is more. But my strong advice to you as young men and women is, this is a gender neutral profession. You are entering a gender neutral profession. Please work hard to become a strong professional. Everything else will make way.
that wear men's shoe was the most important advice from this, because I remember my friends joining Bombay High Court, and then they were so excited to wear heels, and they were like, we'll meet senior advocates. And then when they started running, after 2 days, my roommates were like, we need to change the shoes first. So yes, ma'am, what inspired you to join law?
Well, you seem to be putting all questions to me, but I am really an accidental lawyer. I did not, life's journeys are not always how you imagine or plan them to be. And thank God for that. Thank God for that, because we don't know enough. I mean, when I embarked on my journey as a professional, I was an accidental lawyer. I came here because I failed a pilot aptitude test. I wanted to join the Air Force. I failed that test and I had no plan B in my life, but I have an amazing elder brother who has been my friend, philosopher, guide, my mentor. He introduced me to law. And but let me also add that if I was given an opportunity now with my experience to live my life all over again, law would be my first choice, because this has been my true calling. I came here by accident, but I am so glad that, the destiny took me here, and I did not know enough, but this has been I have loved every step of my journey in law. It has been most fulfilling, and I look forward to the work I do, and I look forward to being of service to humanity and being of service to nature. I think I'm able to do some contribution these are my pole stars, humanity and nature. And I like the fact that in small ways I'm able to do some input or some contribution and live my life meaningfully.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to ask Sanchita ma'am. Ma'am, what inspired you to join law?
Again, you're asking all accidental lawyers. So, so if my life wouldn't have taken that turn where I was diagnosed with a neurological condition, I would have been doing what everyone said the best students in a classroom would do: become a doctor if you're a woman, become an engineer, mostly right? I would have done something of that sort, but in the middle of the session, I was picked from science stream to humanities stream. And then the story changed, and I did not know what to do at that time. I was so demotivated at that time that I thought, even if I want to do something, it won't happen. So from somewhere, I had 4-5 things, people ask, what do you want to do? So there were 4-5 things I would say. So from somewhere, someone my father's friend had sent me AMU's law form, and that was the only form I had filled. And I told, I am a believer. I told God, I'm going to do well in this. Otherwise, don't make me selected in this. I'll be something else. Maybe I wanted to become a journalist, etc. I did have interest in constitutional law while I was doing political science in +2. I did have an interest, and I just studied law to pursue that interest. When they asked me, what do you want to become after studying law? I said that, I just have interest in studying this. I don't know what I'll become after studying this. So, of course, the professor said, so you think homemakers should also study law? Because he thought that maybe she doesn't have an ambition in life. That's why she's saying that. Rest is history.
Great, ma'am. Great, ma'am. Ma'am, Pallavi, ma'am, what about you? What inspired you to join?
So you were asking again another accidental lawyer only. I was an investment banker, which was something that happened many months back. I studied law while I was preparing for civil services. Just like ma'am was not able to clear her pilot aptitude test, I was not able to clear my civil. So my father said that it's best that you do something which is a professional degree. So I was shipped off to Australia. I went and I did my MBA. I did my research in France. I came back, I became an investment banker. And while that was going on, life happened. And because life happened, that profession that I was already pursuing had to be put on hold, and law happened finally. And the initial few years were very bad. I thought that I'm not cut out for this. This is not something that I want to do. It was very difficult. But then slowly, I think I started to find my foot in the door. I started to enjoy law, especially litigation, and it just happened. And finally, when I cracked my AOR examination, I think that sort of gave me the confidence that, okay, I'm not someone who doesn't really know law. I do know law, and I think I can practice it well. So, and since then, it's been quite a ride. I think it's just adventure. Every day I see Aishwarya ma'am in corridor, and we always talk about having a cup of coffee, and she's very kind enough to invite me every time. It's just amazing to see all these women who are running from one court to another, and going ahead, arguing their matter, giving their best. I think over the last decade that I've seen, more and more women have come into the corridors, and you're all having just a very fun time over there. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Divya ma'am, I'd like to ask you, you started your career from a law firm. So as a woman, what challenges did you face when you started your career?
Well, I would like to echo the words of Ms. Bhati that this is a really, honestly, this is a gender neutral profession. And to tell you the truth, and on the non-litigation side, there are more women than men. Invariably, I deal with a lot of multinationals, and invariably, not just the legal head, but sometimes the entire contingent is exclusively feminine. And in a way, that's good, and that's the only time I feel that there is a glass ceiling is when it comes down to motherhood. And I feel corporate India is insensitive towards, we would think that having a family, having a child is natural. I mean, but what corporate India feels is it's your baby, your problem. And that is something we need to focus on, we need to work on. We are losing a lot of talent, a lot of talented women, a lot of motivated, ambitious girls. They give up because of motherhood. It's almost as if you need to make a choice between being a mother and having a successful career. Yes. So except for that, and I have seen my friends, I've seen my peers struggle. Sometimes, you may be in an unhappy relationship when, in-laws don't treat you well. And of course, if there are fights at home, invariably that spills over into your professional life. You can't do exceedingly well, but that is something that can happen to anybody, not just, men, women. A man may find himself in an unhappy relationship. But specific to women, I see motherhood as a huge, and for that, India Inc. will have to be sensitized. I remember watching Indira Nui's interview, and she was, talking about her journey at PepsiCo. There was a situation where she has two daughters, and both the daughters had to be attended to. So when she went to her reporting boss, immediately he said, "Don't worry, I will go pick up your eldest daughter from school or wherever she was. You look after the youngest one." We don't see that kind of helping hand coming from India Inc. And now that a lot of women, there are a lot of, when I started my career, there are a lot of us at associate level, but very few at partner level. So now as we are, as more and more women are becoming a part of the workforce, some 15 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago, 50% of the workforce in US was already that of women. Now, but 15 years ago, and even today, if you look at Fortune 500 companies, hardly not even 3% of the Fortune 500 companies have women as their CEOs. So, but I think your generation will make a difference. My generation will make a difference, because we started our journey at a professional journey just say recently, in the last 50 years, in the last 60 years. We, as I say, if we consider women as a group, now I feel that if we, it's sometimes it's appalling. Women bosses are no better than male bosses. You would think, so yes, we have a, there's a yin and a yang. So, and whether you're a man or a woman, I think both the elements need to be paid attention to. If you have a junior, if when you are setting up an organization, when you are setting up a firm, you want to leave a legacy behind. You don't want to be a fly-by-night operator, here today, gone tomorrow. And how do you leave a legacy behind? By telling your employees, by telling your associates, by that, okay, your child is not going to be two forever. couple of months wouldn't matter, a year wouldn't matter. Fortunately, the whole world has adopted to work from home. And if you look for solutions, solutions turn up. But this is one aspect I think India Inc. has to. I've had I've had associates, I have had clients from very reputable companies tell me, oh, we are looking for a good male lawyers because, women go on maternity leave, so there's invariably business disruption. And that was it was very disappointing to hear him say that. So yes, that is where the real challenge is. Otherwise, the glass ceiling is in your head. Please don't enter the profession thinking that, oh, I'm a woman, I can't do this, I can't do that. The world is yours. As Ms. Bhati said, dream big and achieve your dreams. Work towards your goals. Be focused, work hard.
Right. Okay. So a common question, as ma'am mentioned, that at times women have to choose whether they profession over children. Similarly, also in litigation and law firms, I've seen some men who are at good positions or who have that, who are in the league of partnership, always say that maybe we have to choose marriage over profession or profession over marriage. We can't have both together. So making it a gender neutral question and open to the floor, anyone from the senior panel can share their perspective. Is it actually true to pick one out of the two, or is it possible to balance both while also having a seat at the table? Like, do we have to choose? How difficult
Yeah,
it
I'm
is?
going to take that.
Yes.
Being the senior most, I have grown up children now, gone through the. I think becoming a mother did not make me a less of a lawyer. I think it made me a better lawyer. It is your personal, our law books. Law is not in our courtrooms. Law is where the theory of law meets life.
Ma'am, I think there is some network
Being,
issue.
of parent, even. Okay, I'll wait then.
You are audible. I'll just pause your video for some time so that the bandwidth is clearly audible.
Okay, sorry.
Yes,
So
please
what
continue.
I was saying was that becoming a mother is a strength. It is not a weakness. Having a family is a strength. This should not be taken as a weakness. In fact, I am so inspired by my younger colleagues who are women. Two of them are on the screen here, Pallavi, Sanchita. I am deeply, deeply inspired by them. It's not the other way around. And because I know what they are going through, their journeys as young women lawyers is much, much harder. I've gone through that journey. Now my journey is not hard. Now my spaces are made. I call the shots now. But I have gone through that journey, and whenever my younger colleague is on the family way, I always make it a point to walk up to her and tell her that what is the strongest thing she knows in nature. And the strongest thing I want to tell everyone is what you see in nature is a mother. So don't think that you are becoming weak. You are becoming stronger. And yes, it is difficult. Divya pointed out, her point was absolutely on dot, that the society puts this on you, that whether you want to be a mother or whether you want to be a professional. But it is possible to do both. Even if you don't have, a great bosses, have a good peer group, have a circle of friends, have champions, have mentors who may be outside. They need not, your colleagues, your friends, your mother, your grandmother, your sister-in-law, anybody. You can have a great nanny with you who would be your greatest asset. So create these assets. Also, now we live in more friendly worlds. There are crashes in our courtrooms after a long battle. I think that is what is going to, these are the steps. Women don't need lower standards. They will prepare their briefs well. What they need is help and understanding on these counts. And let me also tell you, the world is changing at a much faster pace than we can understand. When I became a law officer, I had to give up my entire private practice. Most of my clients asked me, can you suggest a good woman lawyer? Our experience is that women lawyers are more dedicated, more sincere. And it elated me to no end, because I was like, wow, this is, their confidence in women lawyers has gone up if they're asking for my matters to be referred back to a woman lawyer because I can't handle these matters. So life is changing at a much faster pace. The clientele today is very well aware. They choose lawyers who are strong professionals or who have that strong potential. So really, world is yours. Conquer it as much as you want to spread your wings and fly. Soar as high as you can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. You can turn on your video now. Tanupriya, I have a question for you since you've been an in-house lawyer for almost 8 years. Recently, after my JAG incident, I was planning to go back to law and I was exploring what all is there. And I spoke to a very senior in-house lawyer asking if I can join in-house again. And I heard a very funny sentence. I was told, Are in-house, so you can't join in-house, Amanika. You are a straightforward person. In-house requires a lot of diplomacy. Is it actually
Absolutely.
true? Are women expected to be diplomatic?
So I'll tell you my journey. So, basically, you have to be diplomatic, you have to be very sweet portrait. Now, that is something that I'm absolutely not. Okay. I find it very tough to do that. So, what I do is like my tip to someone, to even to the young ones, because, when I started, I used to fall into a lot of trouble because I wouldn't understand what is going on in someone with the people's mind. So what I try to do is try and stay out of it, just try and stay out of it. So my friends, my well-wishers, they tell me you're like a horse. You put on your blinkers and you just look straight into the laptop and you just finish your work. You come, you straight look into the laptop, finish your work, get up and go home. So trust me, obviously it is not something that I enjoy, because obviously I would like to have friends at work, but I try and keep myself off any sort of conversation, any politics, anything, and that is the best way to do. You need to be at peace. You cannot get involved if you can't handle the politics. So since I don't know, or since I don't really enjoy basically to be so diplomatic, I try to keep out of it. um, and with also to add to your point, that I don't think um, it is like that's like the key point to be an in-house counsel. That's really very very depressing to actually have. That cannot be your criteria, that can't be your strength, that you have to be diplomatic to be an in-house counsel. But yeah, you need to learn how to manage the law firm. You need to, I feel you have to actually have a very good rapport with the law firm, so that they do your work as well. Like, they have a lot of clients, they have a lot of pressure, but you need to be friendly, you need to understand how they work, and be pally with not just the partner or someone you're assigning work, but I feel I am even close to the clerks, because I know that even they are the ones who will get your work done faster. So that's how you actually need to set your work right.
Okay, great. So, in my limited experience, I worked in a law firm, then I was working in a startup, currently running my own startup. One thing I realized and made my goal was that, that is something I tell my team members also, that if you ever feel that there is politics in the environment wherever you are working, if you have that feeling, trust me, you're already a part of that politics. Because if it is not affecting you, you shouldn't be bothered about it. And if it
Of
is
course.
affecting you, that means you're already participating in it. So just to come out of it as soon as possible. That's like one thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because there's nothing, you get nothing out of it. You
Yeah.
just get nothing out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Nandana, you're here and you're a first generation lawyer. I remember the amount of hard work you used to put in law school to just make sure your Cambridge application is successful. And then from Cambridge to UN to International Criminal Tribunal to now King's College for Ph.D. As a first gen and stepping out of India and as a woman, what were the common challenges you faced, if any? Were there any discrimination you had to face? Or were the things much smoother for our generation?
Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm so humbled and honored to be a part of this very distinguished panel. And thank you, Samanika, for inviting me into this thing. Even though it's so early, I feel so energetic and I get energy out of all these distinguished guests. And I'm so honored to be part of this initiative. For me, some of the challenges that I faced was that one, like all of you, my career was most of it was accidental. Like I jumped from several areas of law. I did a specialization in public international law. Then I went into outer space law with the UN, and then I specialized in international criminal law. And I worked with the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia, specifically the Ratko Mladic case. And that sort of put me in this position where I could do research about international criminal procedure. For me, like some of the challenges that I faced going from NUJS was one, imposter syndrome. I think like most people over here would relate to me when I say imposter syndrome. It's where like when you feel underconfident about what you've done, when you feel underconfident if you've done enough to be in the position that you are in. That was one challenge that I had to go through and to find for myself and to realize that actually, if you put in the hard work and if you think that you have a good project, then that is all you need. And you shouldn't have to compare yourself to people, peers around you. Instead, it becomes a support system. One is that. The second challenge that I faced is inherent bias. Bias is there with everybody. It's not just in India, it's there when you move out of India as well. And I wouldn't say like my journey has been an easy one. And I can see that many people agree with me when I say that. It's just that to realize what you want out of your life and to navigate the world, to think about bias, that it does exist, but then it doesn't have to affect you as much, is my sort of outlook towards my challenges.
Sanchita ma'am, I'd like to ask you, since you travel so much, how do you maintain your work-life balance?
See, whether one has to travel or not, I think work-life balance is an issue when it comes to litigation, and people sometimes they have different ways of either balancing. Sometimes you need to prioritize something, and you need people to understand that you have a work schedule that really doesn't have a schedule. So so long as that understanding is there, it's manageable and one really enjoys traveling. But to add to the discussion that's going on, sometimes I feel like saying something on the question. So let me say it right now. We don't know if we'll have another round. So the thing is, as Aishwarya ma'am and all of you were saying, it's so amazing to hear all of you. So I just tend to go back to my experiences and draw some analogy to what other people see. No two people may be experiencing the same thing. And the fact that the women lawyers today acknowledge and recognize this is a big step in itself. When we look around, when we say hi to each other, when we talk in ladies' barroom, there is an acknowledgement that yes, we get, there must be something, some sort of a barrier, even though we are telling you that, you don't need to keep that in your head when you are making efforts. But of course it exists. And there's a reason why we call it unconscious bias, or we call it a glass ceiling, because you really can't see it. And different people may be experiencing it in different ways. So the thing is, there is an intersection aspect to it. There could be a layer of disability, a layer of class, a layer of caste to it, which others can't really relate to. And therefore you think it's, how do I explain it to someone, and maybe they won't understand it, and you tend to keep quiet. So whatever you may be dealing with, just have a larger purpose that helps all the time to kind of, don't do it for anybody, for your parents, for family, for anybody, no, because you may then not feel as motivated forever if you do that. So stay motivated. If you have something, renew it. If it's not working for you, find a new one. But stay motivated, keep showing up. So when I was really, really sick when I was in school, and I thought, when I feel 100%, I'll study. I never felt 100%. I really had to make it work. I really had to show up. So whatever happens, show up. Even if you're feeling not as confident as of now, it's fine. Just show up. There may be these thoughts, how would I do it? Because the kind of conditioning, the kind of experiences one has may have kind of made you feel that you're not good enough. It's not your fault. It may not be fault of the people because they were doing it because of their conditioning, because of their unconscious biasness. They also don't acknowledge it, recognize it. Never mind, just keep showing up, keep going.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering that. Pallavi, ma'am, you wanted to say something?
Do you have a specific question? Because I think everybody's actually spoken quite a bit about every single part that we were addressing. So.
Yes, ma'am. My next question was to you only. So you shifted from investment banking to law. So what, according to you, are the important skills personally and professionally that one should have to succeed in their career?
I think one biggest thing which Aishwarya ma'am said in the beginning is that this profession is completely gender neutral, and it is increasingly becoming so. And therefore, the kind of work that we are doing, it is not that we're thinking that okay, this is women-centric work, or this is traditionally matrimonial, or some specific family matters are the ones that a woman can deal with. I doubt that that actually exists anymore. All of us are doing every kind of work. Be it a murder trial, be it anything, from the lowest of the courts to the highest of the courts, we are doing practically all kinds of matters from different systems. So I think that we are all very open and susceptible to learning. There are no barriers that I can see that any one of us has. And the interesting part about this generation that you guys belong to, I think you're all very confident and you all know exactly what you want to do. In our case, we were not always very clear about what it is that we wanted. Like I said, most of us have been accidental lawyers because we were still finding our way. Maybe at that point in time, it was not as clear for us. The best part was that we always had the most supportive of the families to tell us that, even if you fall, we are there to take care of you. And therefore, I think that confidence actually led us to where we are. And the second most important thing that I realized is that technology has been extremely helpful for all of us to find our foot in the door. Look at social media. I think a lot of us have very good presence. We are able to learn so much from social media in terms of, let's say, LinkedIn. There are so many brilliant articles that are coming right now. With AI, if you look at it, the kind of intervention that is coming, ChatGPT, for instance, I think you see that that the field of law is also going to change. And the most incredible part about being a woman is that we are very open to change, because that's how we've always been molded as a child. Somebody tells us, this is something that looks nice and you should be doing it in terms of your parents telling you. You will try it. So now it's not that how traditionally we all used to be, this is what you're going to do, and you're and you have 2 babies. No. Now people also think that I'm going to have 3 babies, and also I'm going to be the best as far as my career is concerned. So that kind of mindset shift has happened, and it has also got to do with the fact that we are earning our own money and we have control over our money. Therefore, we are able to spend it where we want to, which is basically that if I have 3 kids, I will hire a nanny, I will hire support staff, and I will be able to then not only take care of my family, but also be able to focus on my career. That's what my sister is doing. That's what a lot of people are doing. And I feel that, that's how we've all been moving forward, be it investment banking, be it law. This is what's happening just now. Everybody's finding their game and becoming better at it. And the third most important thing is that I think traditionally where we used to think that patriarchy is so inbuilt that we find it difficult to get out of it. I think men are increasingly becoming very supportive of women and their dreams. And also women have also started to realize that, I have to assert for my rights. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of women actively participating, a lot of women happier in doing what it is that they do. They are willing to change their career also in midway if they feel that, okay, this is something that I really don't like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. They're willing to take that, they will take that decision and they'll move on. So I think, yeah, these are things that are really happening. And I'm quite happy with how things have worked out. I mean, I remember speaking on Women's Day occasion in the last couple of years, and now I think major shift in terms of how women are speaking now with the kind of confidence and what it used to be maybe in 2020 when we were about to face the lockdown or during the lockdown.
Right. So, Divya ma'am, I have a question for you. Now, most of you said that you were accidental lawyers. Do you also feel that ignorance is a bless? Because with the new generation having so much of information available online, and in case you deal with interns or younger students, because I interact with them on a very regular basis, and I feel that while they are very excited about the idea of law or the idea of different domains, maybe too many options are quite distracting for them, and that's why they are not able to continue with one thing for a longer time before they feel that maybe something else is a better calling.
I remember reading Arun Shoury's interview that was years back. I think this was when he was a minister. I think he was a minister. And he said that all of us should try something new every 10 years. We should change our profession every 10 years. Of course, in our field, it takes you around 10 years to establish yourself, and which time limit might be reducing now because of technological advances, because no longer students, they don't look up all India AIR reports to pull out a judgment. When I started my career, I had the opportunity of being one of the best libraries ever. We had Privy Council judgments when I started my own practice. So for me, having a physical library was very important. But today, you can educate yourself on the move. And sometimes the best ideas do come from interns, because as you grow older, as you get long in the tooth, you carry a lot of preconceived notions, and you approach your work with that baggage. And somebody who doesn't, who has a fresh look at the same facts can come up with wonderful ideas. It may need not even be a lawyer. The idea is, I think, to have an open mind, and it's a wonderfully creative field. Our field is wonderfully creative field, not to get brain fog. You do the same thing over each transaction. There's something new to learn in each transaction. What you do for the first 5 years, especially, this is particularly true of corporate practice area, non-litigation practice area. Invariably, what you do for the first 5 years of your career, you end up specializing in that vertical. And since law is becoming so vast, specialization has become the buzzword. You can pick up you can always add to your skills, but you must have one mainstay. And how do you go about acquiring that particular expertise? It's by getting involved in as many transactions as you can. To give you an example from real estate, because my core competency is real estate, people tend to think real estate is just the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. But a lot of challenging work lies when you have to deal with tribal laws. Tribal laws world over have a lot of special compliances. Environmental laws, a lot of large projects got stuck up on pan-India basis because of environmental violations. So environmental laws too is all this, and I was very lucky because sometimes you're at the right place at the right time. So when I started in 2006, real estate was at its peak. I haven't seen that kind of activity. Now we talk about affordable housing. Now we talk about a lot of smaller projects. But in 2006 and thereabouts, people were talking about special economic zones. People were talking about integrated townships. People were talking about special township, be it a special hill station township. So one thing and one takeaway I get, listening to all the esteemed panels is there is no substitution for hard work. And if you focus on the negative, see, there's also a lot of positive discrimination. People want to have women lawyers because they feel that women are safe, they won't cheat us. I don't have to look over my shoulder if I have a woman colleague. I don't have to look over my shoulder if my advocate is a lady, because maybe she brings to the table a higher level of integrity. So there's a lot of positive discrimination as well, and you have to stay focused, and that's what I think everybody here. That's what Ms. Pal had to say, that when she goes to work, she doesn't let the office gossip. She doesn't get involved in the office gossip, and that's what's holding her in good stead. And everybody, Ms. Bhati, at her senior level, she made this point right in the beginning, that stay focused. And yes, I think the positive being you get better by the more you work, and you should be passionate about your work. As Ms. Pratap rightly said, if law does not fascinate you, pursue something that really fascinates you. I mean, I when I was 17, I wanted to take up law back then because I had just read Landmarks in Law by Lord Denning, and I felt extremely inspired. But then at that time, econometrics was the buzzword. So I took up maths, I took up statistics, I took up economics. And then my father was a chartered accountant. And then I said to myself, maybe I should try CA because I don't know what law holds. You guys are a lot lucky because you at 16, you guys know what to do, and all your energies are focused towards your goals right at the age of 16. So by the time you guys are 26, you guys are very well sorted, and I would say don't lose that energy, don't lose that focus, because that energy and that focus will hold you in good stead right up till the day you die, till the day you hang up your boots.
Okay. Pallavi ma'am, I have a question for you. So these days we see a lot of YouTube videos of High Court judgments where judges are encouraging women lawyers to take their own briefs, where junior lawyers are encouraged to argue instead of just shadowing the senior. So how difficult it is to get your first brief, and especially if as a women lawyer or as a male lawyer, it has any difference to make?
No, that's an interesting question. I think it is slightly difficult for the first generation lawyers to get our first brief. I remember having manifested it by writing it down on my vision board. By the end of this year, I'll get my first brief, which will be independent enough that I will be arguing with. But that was for the Supreme Court. The lower courts, you typically tend to get it. But for the Supreme Court, I had manifested, and I still remember. It is difficult for the first time, but it's easy now. You get your transfer petitions, the easiest ones to argue. All of us, who are practicing in the Supreme Court, most likely would have argued a transfer petition as the first case. I at least remember arguing a transfer petition only. The good part is the judges are so good; they actually encourage you to argue. I remember before Justice Bhatt, there was this young girl who came to take a Passover, and he said, no. What do you know about the facts of the case? And the good part was that she was prepared. She had the file, she'd read it, even though she'd come to only ask for a Passover, she was prepared for it. And because of that, she told the facts, and he issued notice. He was probably inclined to issue notice anyway, but he wanted to test if she was ready with the matter or not. And I think I remember watching Justice video. There used to be a channel called Rainmakers or something, where Gopal Shankar sir used to quote these channels, and she had said that even if you're going to go for an adjournment or a Passover, please, or for mentioning also, please read the file and go, because you never know when somebody might ask you to answer. I just want to add something here. I don't know if Aishwarya ma'am is still there or not, but she's the one who's actually encouraged me to get myself an iPad and argue with the help of an iPad. And this was like, I think last year, sometime when the courts have just reopened. She's the one who's most technologically savvy. She will have her iPad, she'll argue through it. And she was the one who encouraged me. And I'm like really one of those old people who are very scared of using the technology. The moment if somebody was asking to do something, I'll be like very scared, type. And she was the one who encouraged me. And even though I've not been able to argue fully through an iPad, but I make my notes, I make sure that no, one day I'll be able to do it. And I see her, she'll be running between the courts. And this is exactly what I want to tell you. You know, there are women who are mentors in ways that they conduct themselves, and that's how we are learning. And I hope, and this is what she says, I think every single time that we meet, she will always say that, you know, since we are the torch bearers, we have to make sure that we are being better leaders, because if we fail, then everybody else who's behind us will fail. I think this is what she said to me last week only when we were waiting for a cup of coffee. She said it so beautifully. Ma'am, if you can please repeat that line. I really want them to hear that line because it was just so motivating when you said it.
Pallavi, you're so very kind. I have already told everyone that I get inspired looking at you young ones doing so well. But the line that I was telling you is, I feel that women's journeys are like relay races. You know, we have to run our part well and then pass on the baton to our next generation at the right time, at an advantage, so they can run their part well. You know, when we become successful women lawyers, then it is the journey of women lawyers that gets an impetus. And if we fail, then, the system is not going to say, oh, Aishwarya Bhati is a horrible lawyer. They'll say, oh, a woman ASG has performed so horribly that women don't really deserve to be law officers of the country anymore. So that is why, I mean, because we are less in number, we are still, the torch bearers. We need to play our part well. And we need to remember that we have to pass on that baton at the right time and right place. One thing I want to comment on the biases that you all were discussing. My experience has been, and I have seen, I mean, probably I have the most experience here, 25 years at the bar. I really don't know how much is Divya ji's vintage in the profession. But one advice from me that has worked for me is honesty is the best policy. Go about with basic honesty and it will hold you in good stead. And don't outsource your life. Take control of your life. You are the CEO of your own life. It has to be how you determine it to be. If you want to give, wings to your dreams, be ready to put in the hard work that it will take. Nandana, you're doing a great job. I am sure it was not easy. It is not meant to be easy. If it is something is worth, if it's something is worth your while, then it is worth your while only because it takes so much of effort. Things which don't take so much effort will really not be so worth your while also. Only important thing is it has to be something that we believe in. If we believe in it, please live your life, because there's no point in being half-hearted in love. There is no point in being half-hearted in the profession. This is life. This is you're choosing life and livelihood, your way of life. This will be who you become. This will be who you are. So please do it to the best of your capacity. Become best versions of yourself. That is all we all should aspire for every day, to become best versions of ourselves. And I think Indian Constitution also has a good learning for us. Have a core basic structure, but be dynamic. Be open to change. Technology, I feel empowered by technology. I feel technology is a huge force multiplier. And as women lawyers, we can do with as much more force multiplying that we can get. So use technology to your advantage. Use your peer group to your advantage. And Pallavi, please do come and have that coffee with me.
Yeah, absolutely. The moment court reopens, the first thing I'm going to do is come. Even though I've quit coffee, I'm going to come and have tea with you.
Pallavi ma'am just reminded me the common joke which floats in Mumbai, that if a lawyer is carrying an iPad, they are arguing original side. So, they are making good money. So Yes, Sanchita, the common question, the moment we said career for women in law, the common repeated question we got was how easy it is for women, easy or maybe comfortable for women to have a career in domains like criminal law and real estate now. Has it changed? Because the reason I'm asking you this question is you recently took a very controversial matter at Supreme Court, right? So when you pick such kind of matters, do you think ever that, oh, I am a girl, would it have any impact on my career in that manner based on my gender?
I don't see it that way at all. I don't see it as controversial. I don't see it has got anything to do with my gender. At least matters my work has got nothing to do with my gender. People's attitude may or may not, right? But when I get to work, I don't think from if it would help me as a woman, I lose my identity to that extent. It's just me and my work. If I've got a brief, I'm supposed to do it. How I do it, should I be respectful, disrespectful? That's my call, right? So when I drafted it, I made it a point that I was not being disrespectful to the institutions of the country, but that really doesn't involve. Of course, when you're talking about criminal matters in district courts, again, I don't see it as that. I have been doing a high-profile matter in Meghalaya criminal trial. I don't see, of course, what I do is since it's a new place for me, I don't tell everyone why I have come here. I just say I've come for some work, which case I don't tell them. But other than that, I haven't found it to be any, I know there have been, I've lived in small towns as well, and people would say, even lawyers would say that women can't really practice on the criminal side because you have to meet criminals. But really you meet them as clients, we're doing their cases. It doesn't have to do anything with your gender.
Okay. Divya ma'am, since you've been into real estate sector and that sector in itself is predominated by male gender, and also in smaller cities, we see that a lot of lawyers also who claim themselves to be real estate lawyers, but at times are also involved in property dealing work. So does that also affect the chances of a women lawyer who wants to pursue a career in real estate?
Well, as I would like to echo everybody else's words here. And one point I would like to make is we are taking on a lot of identities. Suddenly, everybody is a woman. Suddenly, everybody belongs to a certain caste. Suddenly, everybody belongs to a certain religion. Suddenly, I mean, these are extremely divisive times. I remember talking to my junior once, and I said, I can be thin hair and it would hardly make a difference to me. All these are layers imposed by others on me. When you read something, do you actually, of course, here I would like to say that for years I didn't tell anybody that I love reading Jane Austen because all her books are about single women getting married. But until one of my husband's aunt, who was in her late 90s, and she had a lot of records to her name. When she was 91 plus, she was a vice chancellor at the University of Bombay, and when she was 90 plus, she said, I would like to read Pride and Prejudice. I haven't read Jane Austen in a long time. And that's when I plucked the courage to confess that yes, Jane Austen does have an excellent style of writing. And that aside, we are taking on these identities, and I don't know why. And as I said, you can be thin air and it would hardly matter. Nobody reads a document thinking that, oh, if I were a man, would I read it differently? We all apply our minds. We all look at it the same way. It is incorrect for a person to be a broker in real estate and do and practice as a real estate practitioner. There is bound to be a conflict of interest, so much so that there was a time when all the top brokerage, and these are some international brokerage firms, which at one time had also started offering legal services. That didn't work. The whole idea tanked, mainly because nobody would trust the word of somebody who has a apparent interest in the transaction. And brokers have a very strong interest in driving a transaction through. So and you see, you may not see a lot of as as Ms. Bhatti very rightly, by the way, I have 17 years in the profession, and if you do come down to Bombay, please do let us know. We would love to have a cup of tea or maybe a nice big meal with you. We are, in a sense, I was reading about Justice Laila Said. She was the first lady judge of Delhi High Court, went on to have a lot of firsts to her names, and her Wikipedia page said that when she started practicing law, she was a briefless lawyer for quite some time. She topped the bar exam in London, and by that time she was married, she had a child, and the news was captured in London Daily as it being a waste, that the topper is a woman, and the topper is a mother. She will never, sort of be able to contribute to the profession. It's a complete waste. That we are moving away from that mindset, and we need to thank Ms. Bhati. We need to thank everybody else. You have put together beautiful panel. We need to thank Ms. Pratap, Ms. Jain, because they have led the way. They are the ones who crashed the bias, crashed the if there was a ceiling, the ceiling for us. Now people judge you for your work, whether you are in real estate. Let your work do your talking. Whether you are in real estate, crime, litigation, non-litigation, because at the end of it all, your work speaks for yourself. So I would not, and please don't even think that if you start dabbling in real estate, transactions, if you try and push transactions forward, you'll be more visible in the real estate space. In fact, that will boomerang. It will bring you disrepute, because nobody will then trust you. People will say that, oh, that person is more interested in the transaction because she gets a cut. Usually brokers get, so a lot of, when real estate was heated up, a lot of especially in Pune region, because in 2005, in 2000 and thereabouts, Bombay doesn't have much scope for expansion. All the big projects in main city of Bombay are in the nature of redevelopment, and I think that's symptomatic of every city, saturated city. There will be an old building going in for redevelopment. It may be a cooperative society going in for redevelopment. Our development control regulations have been framed with the idea of encouraging redevelopment. So whereas a virgin plot, you can build only to the extent of, say, 0.3%, what we call FSI or FAR. If you do a redevelopment project, you get 3 times as much. If you do an ITES project, you can build, I think, 4 times as much. So when tier 2 cities started expanding, when people in Pune region, suddenly lawyers who were hardly earning, say, a few thousand rupees per day, they could earn in lakhs. Now some of them gave up their practice to become full-time brokers. But remember, there's a trade-off. You decide what you want to do, and there is a trade-off between the two things. And as somebody, I don't know who, one of the panelists made a very important point. In this profession, people come to you because they have faith and trust in you. If you pass that, then you have lost it all. So be very cautious of your reputation, and don't do something. There is no need to do these kind of get involved in these on the wrong side of law. There's absolutely no need for that, and our laws are wonderful. I mean, every time I think the CPC and the Constitution must be the best books that have ever been written. And every time I read the Constitution of India, I feel so patriotic. I have said to myself, my God, I belong to this country, and the forefathers had this vision. I can't think of any other textbook and of any other country where the same level of vision is reflected. We started in 1947, and we said everybody is equal, men, women, there is no caste, no creed. And I think in some of the developed countries, I'm not sure, one of the European countries, it's only women were allowed to vote in when we started our constitutional journey, of equality. That's when in 1950s or somewhere, women were given franchisee for the first time. In some of the countries, till date, women are not given franchises, and I feel so happy in spite of our, we talk about India in the context of being a very conservative society. In spite of being a conservative society, we said to ourselves, no, everybody is equal. It doesn't matter whether you're a man, woman, what your color is, it just doesn't matter.
Right. The conversation is so insightful. I had panel's permission only for 1 hour. If you may allow 15 more minutes, I had final 3 questions. So, Aishwarya ma'am, would you be fine with it?
Yeah, sure. I think we can
Okay,
move.
okay. If anyone has any other meeting, please feel free to leave, because I would be respectful to your time as well. So, Nandana, from an international perspective, you've practiced at International Criminal Tribunal also. Did you see any bias there as a women lawyer taking international criminal matters?
Thankfully, international criminal law, the tribunal that I worked is mostly comprised of women. I worked with the Office of the Prosecution. It literally had like 90% of women, and I had like an amazing time with this practicing international criminal law, and especially with public international law. You see a lot of academics becoming lawyers. It's like a field where both the lawyer is both an academic and a practicing person within their own domestic jurisdiction, and they come into international courts to present the case. And you see most of these people are like women, and so that's like one area of law where you see a lot of women lawyers. And when I talked about bias or like discrimination, I'm sure everybody has experienced bias at one point or another point. It's just that like sometimes you might feel that, because sometimes decisions are made that are beyond your control. It's based on organizational, they are like organizational decisions, and sometimes it can feel like bias and discrimination when it's not. It is to understand when it is not bias and when actually it is bias, and that was like a fine line that I had to understand throughout my journey. And my experience has been like, it has grown since the starting of my journey, since my LLM and until now. And I think like more and more women are applying to be public international lawyers, and more women are going into these spaces like the International Criminal Court. The Tribunal for High Seas is run by women judges, and it's like so inspiring to see women lawyers bloom in these situations. And I just want to echo this sentiment from other panelists, especially from Bhati ma'am, that like it is so inspiring to see women say, I want to pass on this baton to a younger generation. It was so inspiring for me to hear that. And if not for the giants before us, where would we be if not for the giants before us? I just wanted to echo that statement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I am so happy to hear that the fact you said that you have to be so conscious about that fine line. Otherwise, maybe you can end up feeling like a victim all the time, feeling vulnerable all the time when it is not actually required. And to remain empowered, beautifully came from you. So, Tanupriya and Nandini, because Divya ma'am said we are adding too many tags here and labels, I'll keep the label aside. And again, the next common question we received is, what are the new trending areas you are seeing opportunities? Because most of the other senior panelists are litigation lawyers. So from your perspective, Tanupriya, I see that, for example, in India, ESG is entering and in-houses are also taking it very seriously. So from an Indian perspective, you could share, and from an international perspective, Nandana, you could share about the non-conventional options we didn't hear about in law school, which you feel have a good amount of scope for career for next generation, which they can think about picking. Tanupriya, you can start.
So I feel that about non-conventional, if you say, unconventional practices, law is the same. We are just specializing and micro specializing. Okay, that is what is happening. So if you see in-house, what as a as someone who is below the 10-year mark of my journey, I would recommend that you try your hand at everything. If you don't, you'll not know, because the theory and the practical side is very different. So really you need to try your, see, if you see my journey, I started as a media lawyer, then I moved with a corporate I moved to the HO head office of a bank, and now I'm with Axis Bank. It's the regional office. I still love my the media practice, so I do advise all my friends who are still, who are in the production side of it, in the eastern region, eastern zone. I still help them with their contracts. I still guide the lot of celebrities who are in this industry in the eastern side. I still do help them with their problems, through all my PR friends who are in the PR industry. Now, it is a calling. I mean, I am in the finance sector, but there are things that I still love doing, and I do continue doing that. As lawyers, this is something that we do. We are lucky that we can explore a lot of fields. So I would say that please, please explore before you settle with something, because the more you in-house, they will expect you to specialize and micro specialize in especially the bigger companies. When you go into a bigger company, they want you to do a specific role. Don't just join because of a brand. Join because there is someone, my mentor, she had told me that, are you going to be joining a company because of the name of the company, or are you joining because of the job profile that they're giving you? So see the job role that they're giving you. It has to be a diverse job role, so that you are built, because after work you will have very little time to build yourself. To You will have limited time, so you need to build yourself during work as well. So try and explore as much opportunities that you have. Once when you realize that, okay, these are the roles that you can involve, like say something which is very well known, like the tech law, or say the private, many people are now specializing in privacy policies, okay, or the privacy laws. But that also comes with, say, if you're working with a media IT company, and you need to work on the privacy laws, please do learn the other operations of the company as well. Don't just try and specialize, because in the long run you will need to know everything to be a leader. Not just the law, you need to know your company's products and processes to be a leader.
Okay, great. Nandana, from an international perspective, so the things which the options we hadn't heard of in law school, and something you got to know that there are these new areas also which somebody could think of, if you could share those.
First of all, I echo with Tanupriya when she says you need to have a lot of different skills to succeed as a lawyer in any situation. Some of the things that I became aware of after law school was these new niche areas of law, like sports law, especially with like rules about football clubs, rules about Formula One races, and Formula One is like taking off in India as well now. So these special areas of law, where one example is sports law, and I always wanted to be an astronomer when I was young. So that is why I chose to pursue outer space law after my LLM as well. Outer space law is like a really niche subject. It falls under like public international law, that it's rarely researched, and like I'm not sure of any other law schools offering outer space law. Maybe I'm wrong. Outer space law was offered to me at NUJS. So that was one inspiration as well. And there is like laws of high seas. That there's international arbitration law that falls under several categories. All of these things that I discovered much later. And one important thing that I discovered after law school and through my experience is like you can be one can become in-house lawyers within UN organizations like IAEA, like Organization for Nuclear Research, and such. And these are opportunities that were like rarely discussed in law school, at least for me. And like many people might be interested into going abroad and like joining institutions like the UN and other regional organizations that might be really helpful, like African Union for Human Rights or like Inter-American Court. And these courts are like they are like really good opportunity to discuss issues of state, issues of conflict, and that's what prompted me to join the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia as well. I was interested with international crimes like genocide and crimes against humanity. These are like horrific crimes that have such impact over so many years and decades. Even I think about the partition in India as well. So it's about those issues, people interested in those issues, like issues of law and social sciences, issues of like crime. They're very interesting, complicated, nuanced subjects. I wish these opportunities were more discussed more in law school.
Yes. Thank you so much. Aishwarya ma'am, can you please hear me? Okay, I think ma'am is not able to hear me. So
for me, I just stepped up away.
Yes, ma'am, this was the final question. So I read it on LinkedIn. One very senior professional had written that in during their times there was a culture in High Court or maybe the Supreme Court that after 4 p.m. after court hours, the lawyers used to meet in the canteen and the senior advocates used to share one tip at a time based on their learning. So how can we inculcate that co-learning atmosphere now with our generation, and especially since you've been a mentor to so many women lawyers? If you could have any creative ideas where the similar culture could be started again.
I think what you're doing today, what you have done by putting up such a beautiful panel, you asked me 15 more minutes. Frankly, I was enjoying this conversation so much that we could I have a matter also to attend. Otherwise, we could have just done it all day. So I have come to strongly believe that the universe does come together, does conspire to give you what you really want. I think what we really need to be clear about is what we really want and how strongly do we want it. It's not just wanting, you have to work hard to get it. It will take a lot out of you. It is going to test you. Not all days are going to be hunky-dory. You will have horrible days where you will feel like, why did you ever think of coming here? But courage is not always, roaring on top of your voice or at the best of your ability on the podium when you're arguing a matter. Courage is also a stable voice that, okay, I will try again tomorrow. So I think important thing is just speak to each other. That you will experience a lot of kindness. Somebody was mentioning they find clerks to be very strong assets. You will find jamadars in court to be very strong assets. You will find the court librarians to be very strong assets. The canteen guys to be strong assets. Just be respectful that they are human beings. They have a skill set that defines their work. In India, we have a problematic mindset where we don't respect the skill set of our, the helping staff, the support staff. We are very, very lucky, incredibly lucky to be having this kind of support staff. We need to be respectful of what they bring and what they add to our institutions. So just be open to, the amazement of human life, and the life will find ways to amuse you, amaze you. Just be on this adventure and be open to experiencing it all. God bless you.
Thank you. Such a kind answer.
Thank you for answering that, ma'am. One last question to all our panel members. What, according to you, should be the key takeaway from today's session? Starting from Aishwarya, ma'am, if you don't mind.
I think I already finished like that. Start small, dream big. The world is yours to make what you want it to become, but make it a kinder place. Work with empathy, work with compassion. People come to lawyers in their times of need, in their difficult times, and pay attention to the human beings as we ought to pay attention to human beings. Be in service of nation and the nature.
Thank you, ma'am. Sanchita ma'am, the key takeaway from today's session. Is ma'am there?
Yes, she's trying to unmute.
It's taking a while to unmute myself. Yes, so I think just sticking together in this journey, passing the baton, I think that's one thing that this whole group of women lawyers, and we are very lucky that we are part of this group that's so conscious about what we are doing here just by being there. So there are days when I don't feel like, there are days when I feel like, gosh, there's so much uncertainty in litigation, right? So those days, just to think that we are here, we are doing way, way more than we know just by being here helps. Thank you. Thank you for having us today.
Pallavi ma'am.
I think what Aishwarya ma'am said, courage. And I think the kind of courage that all of us demonstrate, and I think a lot of women before us have been demonstrating. And Divya just spoke about Justice Leela said, I think one of the reasons why I have autobiography. And I think, yeah.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Oh, yeah, it must be that I think the internet is unstable. You can ask other people. I think that would be better. There's some problem with my internet.
Sure. Divya ma'am.
Yes, firstly, Samanika, thank you for inviting me. I absolutely enjoyed this. It was a wonderfully eclectic session. And for me personally, the key takeaway is dream big and work hard to achieve your dreams. Your womanhood is not your weakness. On the contrary, is your strength. So capitalize on your strength, and your womanhood is your strength. Be strong, and we are all there to help all of you. So yes, that's all. That was for me the key takeaway. Do what you want and do it well.
Thank you, ma'am. Tanupriya ma'am.
Firstly, thank you, Samanika. Thank you, Akhila, for inviting me and to be a part of this really, really esteemed panel. I'm very lucky to share this space with such ladies, and who are torchbearers. My key takeaway, which Aishwarya ma'am said, was be honest, because honesty is something that really will take you a long way. It is a difficult path, yes, but it does take you a long way. And what Sanchita ma'am said, that show up, whatever happens, even if you don't feel like it, whether it is litigation, whether it is in-house, whatever, even if tomorrow, like I have friends who have finished law school, but they've moved out to some other even industry as well. Like they're not even a lawyer, they're not even practicing law or anywhere close to that, but they've showed up, they've been honest with themselves, and they've changed their industry. They've not done what they did not like doing. So today, even to those to those ones who are in the in the law school, if you feel that you're not enjoying what you're doing, choose your calling, do what you love, because then only you'll succeed. Else you will be forced to do and you'll not be happy.
Thank you, ma'am. Nandana ma'am, your key takeaway.
We've heard like stories of courage and temerity from all the panelists. I'm so inspired to hear these stories and be encouraged by it, and I find a support system here. My key takeaway is to believe in oneself, Like I echo the sentiments of honesty. I think that's an amazing advice. To believe in oneself and to support one another, because support system is the most important thing that we women have in our law community, and that's my key takeaway. Thank you, Samanika, for inviting me here.
Thank you for sharing your view. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It was great hearing from all of you, especially Aishwarya ma'am, Divya ma'am, Sanchita ma'am, Pallavi ma'am, if you are there, Nandana, Tanupriya ma'am. Thank you all for joining us for this session.
Before Akhila closes the session, so one thing I have to add here is that, to be very honest, we were quite surprised with the number of optimistic yes we received, because towards the end, at midnight, I remember even at 1 last night, we were like, how would we fit such a huge panel? Because we were not sure if so many people would actually say yes, and that too on a festival day. Firstly, that optimism is something that is the positive sign the next generation of women can take, that there are good number of mentors who are willing to take out time to guide. And like Aishwarya ma'am has emphasized so much on how, as torch bearers or as relay racers, it's our responsibility to ensure that the next generation gets things better. So one small line I'll read, my friend had shared in Hindi with me, that नारी तेरे माथे पे ये आंचल बहुत ही खूब है, लेकिन तू इस आंचल से एक परचम बना लेती तो अच्छा था. Meaning that the softness as a woman you carry is looks very nice on you, but don't make it your weakness where people confuse it to your shyness. Rather make it like kranti ka aanchal or kranti ka jhanda as it said Jhansi ki Rani ka. So make that inner power, inner empowerment of yours as your weapon, which helps you in reaching great heights. And I remember one of the Air Force officers, because Aishwarya ma'am was aspiring also to join the forces. So one of a senior Air Force officer had once told me that women don't need empowerment. We are already empowered. All we need is maybe support of each other and just a bit of encouragement to become more visible. So I think this entire group echoed the same thing, that we all are together in this. And they say, while on the negative side, people say that a woman could be a woman's enemy, rather I see the positive side of it, which is there is nothing better than the all girls group or women's group, because nobody focuses so much energy into encouraging each other to grow. So let's take this as the common support of that group, where everybody is very much enthusiastic in a positive manner to encourage everyone to have great career. And one last quote I'll add. On my desk, when I joined the law firm, I had written this quote, that let's root for each other while we see each other grow. So on that note, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great festival. Stay safe, stay healthy. And thank you once again for joining. It was a great time having a conversation with you all. Thank you.
Thank you all. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.